Fantastic, and welcome back to Curious Faith, questions and conversations for those people thinking about following Jesus again. I'm your host, Bill Wallace, and this has been a really fun summer series. You can tell that it's a summer series because we're wearing shorts today. That's right, it's all of 70 degrees here in Washington. It's incredibly hot for those of you who might be listening from other parts of the world. This is as warm as we can take it here. So you'll see shorts, short sleeves, sun's out, guns out. It's a good time here. I'm very excited about our conversation today. We've got some great guests that are going to be joining us for something that, I just can't wait to hear what they have to share. So let's welcome them in at this time. Hello.
Hi, Bill.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, good to see you both. Thank you so much for joining us. Long-time guest here, thank you so much, and a first-time guest, so this will be a ton of fun. I want to introduce yourselves for those people that might be watching or listening for the first time.
My name is Mike May. I'm the pastor at Lamb of God in Lake Stevens.
Perfect. Thanks very much, Mike. And?
Sandy Goranson. I'm a surprise paraeducator at the Lake Stevens High School. My degree was in graphic design, and I ended up there by accident, and I love every minute of it. And I'm also surprised to be here, so we'll see how it goes.
A lot of surprise. That's fantastic. Perfect. Thanks. Yeah, thanks so much for joining us. We always try to do just a question just to get to know each other a little bit. And today we're recording this. This will come out in a little while, but we're recording this on what is the last day of school for the school district that we live in. So I thought maybe a good question to ask would be, did you have an end of school year tradition when you were going to school? Was there that thing that you loved to do as soon as school got done? And I always answer the question first because I thought of it, so it's easier for me to give you a little bit of time for that. I didn't get to do this all the time, but I really did have great joy back when we were not a paperless society of burning all of the notes that I didn't want to keep anymore. I had so much fun with that. I loved being able to do that. I use that as kindling. And I'm glad to say that I have passed that along to at least one of my children, Risa, our third child, now holds on to all of their paperwork so that over the course of summer we have as much kindling as we need to light that sucker on up. So
Awesome.
Yeah.
No.
No?
What a terrible answer. I remember when I graduated from the academy, I went on a road trip and saw the Grateful Dead.
That's not bad.
Yeah, well, it was a good time.
Yeah.
It was definitely a good trip, but
Couldn't do that every year, I suppose.
no, not in the Air Force.
No.
No. Probably it's being recorded, so that's
Right.
probably about all I should say about that trip.
We're good. That's all. Perfect. Excellent.
The thing that came to my mind is my brother's birthday is June 2nd, which in Montana, that's an important detail with what I'm about to say.
Yes.
It's his birthday, so it was officially summer. Last day of school, and my brother's birthday, and I just remember every year we would come home and beg my mom to go barefoot, like shoes off, summer's on.
Yeah.
You know, there could be snow, it could still be muddy, but it was summer, and she'd be like, "No, you kids," and then pretty soon we'd take off, and it was very free range childhood, so no shoes.
You're absolutely right. Yeah, it could be snow. It could be just.
Where in Montana?
It's in the Bitterroot Valley, south of Missoula.
Okay.
Yeah.
So beautiful part.
Yeah, absolutely lovely. Wow. That's good. That's good. I love it. All right. Well,
Wait, if
today's
it's
question.
summer- no, just kidding.
Feel free. Go right for it. Yeah. All right. Let's go. Today's question for us that I wanted to dive in on is, how do you live out your faith in the real world? And I really thank you both for being a part of this, because this allows us to have kind of some different perspectives on that as well, and I'll share mine. I joke that I haven't been part of the real world now, really since, well, maybe not ever. I was a pastor's kid, grew up a pastor's kid, immediately went from college into seminary in order to be a pastor. I've been a paid church professional my entire life, essentially. So this is one of those things when I, as a pastor, talk about how we are called as Jesus followers and how we do that. I imagine there's got to be all kinds of people, again, in this curious faith type of world who've got to look at me and say, dude, you have no idea what it's like out there. You don't get it. You have no clue whatsoever. And so really appreciate, again, Mike, who, yes, you are a pastor, but you've also had that experience of not being a pastor in what I think might have been just a challenging place where sometimes it was hard to live out your faith, particularly with the military. And so we're interested in your perspective from that. And then, Sandy, kind of the same. You've lived in actually a couple of different worlds, a little more corporate world with the graphic design and all of that. And then now in the school district where you just have had some really, really cool experiences. So, my hope, my goal is to share some of that, again, for those folks who are trying to figure out, all right, how do I do it? If I'm going to take this Jesus stuff seriously, if that's going to be part of my everyday life and not just my 1 hour on Sunday life, what does that end up looking like? And so thought, we could just talk a little bit about that. And I do have a little bit maybe to share, but again, not as much as I hope as both of you. So, so maybe, if I can put you on the spot just to begin with, Mike.
Sure.
Yeah. Am I right? Do you notice a shift just in terms of, hey, now you're the paid professional and what you were doing before?
Hugely. Before, there's a whole lot more. You're always kind of outside the bubble, that Christian bubble, or at least you're required to spend a great deal of time out there. So you didn't have to go looking for it. As a pastor, you have to, it would be easy, really, to just live inside, like Facebook, I guess, right? Where and in that echo chamber, you just, you do nothing but hear what you already agree with thrown back at you. You got to seek that out. But before, in the military, I guess I just had a lot of life rushing back at me because I had a long non-Christian life, and then really just sort of figured out trial and error how to live my faith, in a world that, like you say, there's rules and regulations aplenty in the military, but it's not as bad. I think it wasn't as bad as people kind of made it out to be. I had, at the NSA of all places, I did a Bible study. You got like half-hour lunch break, and I just said to a few people I thought might be Christians, invited them over there, one guy who wasn't. And that whole experience, man, we had all these conversations where, I would tell him why I think there is a God. He was an atheist, and he would tell me why he thought there wasn't. And I would inevitably, there's another guy who's a Christian, I would inevitably sort of win the argument. Yeah. And, I'm thinking this is evangelism.
Yes.
And as it turns out, at some point he says, I don't think you're right. I think you're just better at arguing than I am. Like, what do you do with that? That's like for your feedback session. You sit down and your boss says, you're defensive and you like arguing with people who are smarter than you. Okay. But, it was a good lesson that you just can't argue people into faith. None of it was, hostile. We were friends.
Yeah.
Went out to lunch all the time together. But
that's cool. Again, to throw in there. So, you came to faith a little later in life, too. That was...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't know how much time you got. I was going into 8th grade, Saturday at the BX in Bergstrom, Texas, and I told my folks, hey, I don't want to go to church tomorrow. And my mom says, why not? And I go, because there's no God and it's a waste of time. And my mother said, well, where do morals come from then? And I said, morals are just an extension of law. It's just society's way of making sure that you behave well. It functions better that way. And I was pretty philosophical even at that age. And my dad was not philosophical, but he was much bigger and stronger than I was. So his answer was, well, you're going to shut up and go to church.
Yeah, guess what?
And,
you're still going.
And that was it, But that only lasted until they couldn't make me anymore. So, I spent a long time. And honestly, I pursued philosophy. I thought that was the answer. And if there's anything that led me back to God, it was that he just let me go, and I tried to quench the thirst of knowledge, and it came up dry. You know, when you talk about what's it all about, meaning of life, really smarter people than I will ever be have asked that question for 2,500 years.
Yeah.
And they don't even ask it anymore.
Yeah.
The last big existential movement was 1900,
Yeah.
you know, and they don't even mess with it anymore.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you just realize, I mean, that's it. And I got recommended C.S. Lewis, who's just this practical theologian who says, you know, we all know, well, where does that come from? We all know that there's right and wrong.
Yeah.
You know, all kinds of really very practical stuff.
Yeah.
And fortunately, God was still waiting for me when I was done with my own little rebellion.
That's cool. Thanks for sharing that.
Oh.
Thanks. Sandy, yeah, with you, did you notice a difference between the two worlds, or multiple worlds, really, that you've been living out your faith in?
Yeah, well, honestly, I am
Not
so,
honestly.
honestly,
No.
so honestly, I feel like I did my bit. I was allowed to get a design degree and work in these agencies and have that fun and do that. And I always went to church, but that was for me. And suddenly, I accepted a severance package, and I wanted to teach art, and I went to the school, and they said, "You want a job?" And I'm like, I'll try that. And now I'm 7 years in. And it has been, I feel like I was supposed to be there. Like, I didn't resist. I didn't know why. I loved the kids, and I said, we'll see how this goes. And it's been fantastic. I don't want me to keep talking.
Yeah,
I can tell
please
you how
do.
it goes, because
Please do.
every day don't understand what I've been given by my admin. Pretty much, do your magic. I'm out on my own, and it's so simple what I'm doing, and yet so difficult. Is I'm just being me and loving every student unfiltered.
I appreciate you saying that it is simple. We had just a little technical bump, and so we were able to talk off camera for just a minute. And we talked about that when you look at what it means to be a Jesus follower, again, in many ways, it is simple. Yeah, Jesus just calls us to, love God and then love your neighbor. You know, I mean, it breaks down to that. But that's it. Like, it's not simple for so many of us. And that's where, again, I hope the people that are listening to this, that's their question. But so how do I do that? How do I do that in my real world? You mentioned just a simple prayer that you try to get into your mindset from that standpoint. For you, as you made that shift from not being a Jesus follower into trying to be a Jesus follower, were there quote unquote simple steps that you took that you noticed as you started to live them out? People around you started to see this change in terms of how you try to live out a different way of going?
Honestly, I think if you knew me better, you would be able to see Jesus in me a little more. Like, I know myself. And for me, I think living out my faith is a matter of listening to the Holy Spirit. And, I think I'm usually suspicious of people who hear voices, that kind of thing. But I can tell, honestly, when a thought is not my own. All right, so a couple weeks ago, my neighbor, who the HOA has tagged him for having weeds, his lawnmower is busted, and he says, "Can I borrow your lawnmower?" I'm like, "Sure." So, hey, there's a Christian thing. I'll just drive it up, and I put it right in the driveway, and as I'm ready to turn the key off and get out, it's really almost as clear as a bell. Is that what you should do? I mean, it was just that clear, and I realized, no, I should totally mow his front yard. It's just a small little thing. It's just driving. I can drive, boop, and I'm done with it. and I'm not going to do the back because I'm still me, and that's huge. He's got an acre, and the HOA can't see that anyway. And that's all it was about. But that's not me. I know what I would have done.
Yeah.
And I don't know if everybody can see that. To answer your question, I don't know if everybody can see that, because I hope people don't look and see that I'm the guy who's mowing his front yard, because I'm actually not.
Yeah. Yeah. Ooh, I like how you're saying that. Yeah. When we are trying to follow Jesus like we're supposed to, that at some level it's no longer about us.
Yeah.
Not always convenient.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's usually how I know it's not me. It's because I'm about convenient.
Yeah.
I'm about easy. I'm about me.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, that's good stuff. Yeah. Let's dive into that a little bit, because I think there's some reality to that. And maybe one of the reasons why it is so hard for people to figure this out is what you just said there, is when you hear that voice, clear as a bell. I will also say I've had those times, sometimes related to my job, and that's really cool because it does make my job a little bit easier. When you're trying to be a pastor, when the Holy Spirit tells you to do something, then okay, we'll do that then.
Good idea.
Yeah. But also in those other walks, those, hey, why don't you stop rushing through Costco right now because you saw that person that clearly you needed to talk to. I wonder, with the busyness that we've got, with all the noise that we have kind of going around us, is that what keeps us from hearing that still small voice? Is it trusting that still small voice is actually someone beyond us, that doesn't freak us out? Is it just an ignoring of that? Do you get what I'm saying there? I think there's so many reasons why we again, I think the Holy Spirit's been doing this really well for several thousand years now. Why do we try to find ourselves ignoring it, not hearing it? What's going on there?
Well, I can talk to you about last night, which thunder, lightning, pouring rain.
Yeah.
Perfect time to go to the grocery store, right?
Yeah.
I had promised my neighbor who's having her son's in the hospital to bring food to her daughter. And I was going to do it today after this. As I said, I was doing it today.
Yeah.
But in the middle of the rainstorm, I needed to get up and go to the grocery store and shop to get it over with. I get there, and then I'm at the grocery store, and I'm texting, like, the mom, do I need anything? She goes, I'm home. I'm heading to the grocery store. And I'm like, no, I'm at the grocery store shopping for you.
Yeah.
So she was able to have a shower, have some lunch, spend some time with her daughter, and I showed up with her food.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know why the thunder and lightning and all that stuff had to get my attention, but I did it, and I didn't know why I was doing it.
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't have to shop today.
There you go. Moral of the story, always shop in the rain. That's good.
I mean, but that's just it. You don't know, but you just
Right?
do it.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know why. I didn't even know that was a thing. I just did it.
So here's a thought. There's an experiment, a psychology experiment in 1972, 74, Jerusalem to Jericho. And in it, in a nutshell, they take a bunch of seminary students. So these are guys who, in theory, are all about helping people. And they kind of interview them a little bit and see what's your motivation for going into the seminary, and a bunch of background kind of stuff. And they have had them prepare a talk on, I think most of them got the Good Samaritan. And then they tell them it's across campus, so you need to go across the campus. And on the way, they have a guy who's kind of dressed shabbily, leaning in a doorway, who's clearly in distress, like moaning. And they see how many of them actually do anything to help this guy.
Yeah.
And it's, I think overall, only 40% did anything, including like get there and you happen to tell whoever's at the classroom that you're going to do the presentation. Hey, maybe you want to.
Yeah.
I mean, seems like the minimum. 60% didn't even do that.
Yeah.
And the key to all that, it didn't have anything to do with why they went into the ministry. It didn't have anything to do with, some of them didn't prepare, the Good Samaritan. So it didn't have anything to do with it if that's on their mind. The difference was those who were given plenty of time. Like you have, it's a 10-minute walk. You've got like 20 minutes. Maybe you want to leave now after they're done.
Mm-hmm.
Those people, I think 63% of them stopped. There is medium hurry. Like if you leave now, you'll probably make it.
Yeah.
I think maybe 30% of those guys. And the people who were like, you're late right now.
Get going.
You got to go. Like 10% of those guys stopped. So it's, more than anything, it's the margin that we have in our lives.
Yes.
And there has never been a time, I think, when we have been more busy.
Yes, had less margin. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, yeah. Did either of you read that book, Margins? Have you read that book? Have you heard of that?
I've heard of it. I have not read them.
Came out forever ago because it was still back when we were actually more of, a paper society. And the idea behind it was all of us had our planners, our calendars, that we would write stuff in. And all of those planners and calendars had, the 8 to 5. And then there was the white margin around that. And his whole point with this book, which was that, so you have a meeting at 8, and then you got a phone call at 10, you got this and that. But then you have to add something in. Well, your book's full. Like you can't add, oh no, there's margin. I'm going to write this in to the margin. And his whole point was, no.
Yeah.
Look, like they've done it for you. They said you can only do these many things. You only should be doing this many things. And all of us think, no, I can squeeze more in. There's that white, you gave it to me. You wrote that little white margin there.
I can write smaller.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Do a little arrow in there. That's how I fit that in.
Yeah. And look, now I did it. So true. So true.
I think I'm reflecting on what you said. I would go by. It's not my style. I feel like I help quite a bit, but that would be scary. I don't know the person. I don't know if they're on some sort of drug or alcohol.
Yep.
I don't know if it's some sort of ploy to get me over there alone.
Yeah.
So, those are things that I would think in that circumstance.
Yeah.
So I also think time and fear, and maybe just questioning yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
You should be afraid. I hate to say it that way, but I hear you thinking maybe it's a ploy to get me over there, and I think, yeah, maybe it is.
Yeah. And I'm drummed. You've watched too many murder mysteries.
Yeah. Stop watching Law and Order. Yeah.
I guess, but I don't know.
So I'm not trying to say that those people are, I don't know.
No, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But it does. It gets to that, that fascinating thing. How when we're called to follow Jesus, the challenges of doing it. Like you said earlier, it's simple. Man, no. In the world that we live in now, it's challenging. The speed of the world we're living now, the noise of the world we live in now. There are more and more barriers to being able to do this. I think, again, for those people listening and watching, that's where they get stuck. That's where they do say, man, I don't know if I can do this. I'm out,
Yeah, I've spent all I have, I've scheduled all I've got, I've paid attention as long as I can listen to people. If somebody needs something, good luck finding that from someone else.
Yeah.
But I don't know. And again, I feel like I have right pickings at the high school, because a lot of times you make a connection. You may not have talked to that person for 3 days, but you go by them in the hall, and I'm famous for doing the sidekick. Don't say anything, but I see you.
Yeah.
I still see you.
Yeah, it sounds to me like you've built that in.
Well, but again, it's because it's just what I do. I'm just being goofy and meeting them where they are, but it's like, Got ya.
Mm.
So that's the simple part. I
Yeah.
think that more people are doing simple things that they're not giving themselves credit for that add up to bigger things.
Yeah. Yeah.
That we all can do simple things.
Yeah. Well, you
Yeah.
said a phrase that again, has become a little bit cliche, and that makes me sad because I do like this cliche, being seen. I think that's absolutely true. I think we have a lot of people that feel like they aren't being seen, and just something as simple as that can make an enormous impact. And again, I think that's a Jesus thing. I think when you look at so many of the encounters that he had, he was seeing people that weren't often seen.
And if we're all doing that, pretty soon everyone's going to be feeling better about themselves. And that, hey, something's different here.
Yeah.
Something's different about that person. Took time to smile, took time to make eye contact,
Yeah.
took time to shoulder bump me, took time to ask if I had breakfast.
Yeah.
Those are simple.
Yeah. Yeah. There was a movie that came out a while back. It was a guy who could travel through time, and he was married through Rachel McAdams. She's actually in 2 time-bending movies, so I'm not sure which one it was. But what the sweet thing at the end of this was when this guy...
Time Traveler's Wife.
Yeah, that's the other one.
No, that's the one.
No.
Are you talking about the one?
And then the other one...
About Time.
About Time.
That's my favorite. I love that movie.
A beautiful movie.
Yes.
Beautiful movie. And he shares at the end, when he starts to live each day twice.
Yes.
Because he lives the day once, kind of the normal way that he does it, and then he lives the day the second time, noticing and seeing the little things. And you see it in just how they film it, how he goes and buys the coffee from the gal in a rush, and then the second time he buys the coffee from the gal, and just looks in the eye and has that, and what difference that makes. And I thought, that's so beautifully profound. How many of us would want to live a day through twice? Especially some of the garbage days that we've had over the last 15 months. And yet, again, the point of this scene in particular was, man, every day is worth doing that because there was something in every day that could have been that moment.
Could have been that much better or made that much a little difference.
Yeah. Yeah. And of course, it's fictional. So,
Well, it is, but as I recall, and for those listening to this, Bill really butchered the description of that movie. There's so much more.
What? What?
Well, okay. He goes in the closet, and then he goes back in time, and he relives all these. Anyway, what I got from it, watch it at home, and that there's a pitch.
And then write your review. Yes.
He does say he goes through it the second time, and he's unhurried. He notices everything. He engages. He's present. I would say he's present.
That's a good word.
And then I could swear he says that the beauty of that is anybody can do it.
Yes.
Anybody can be present. You don't have to be a fictional time traveler to be present in every moment. And that was one of the 2 beautiful things about that movie. And I'll maybe come back a different time and talk about what
the other one?
most
Yeah.
was.
Maybe
Yeah.
that's what I'm trying to say. You don't have to be a professional Jesus follower to make a difference.
Yeah.
No.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
right.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I completely agree. And again, I hope that somehow those of us who are the professional Jesus followers can figure out how to share that message a little better. That we can do it in a way that people hear that. And maybe that comes from having more conversations with people who aren't professional Jesus followers. Have you noticed that from your job standpoint? Like now that you do this on the other side, when do you get opportunities to have people share, again, hey, in the real world, this is how I do this still?
Yeah, honestly, I don't want to say there's more suspicion because, you're a professional or there's higher expectations. To me, it's more powerful when a non-professional is doing it.
But the professionals they're hearing stories that everyone else doesn't know. They probably know a lot of heartaches that people don't have. That all takes time and that takes energy. And you probably have commitments and meetings and small groups and leaders and sermons to write, and which is all God things, right? So why do the professionals have to do it all? They could say, you can do your bit too, and we'll all work out better together.
Yeah, we can't. I promise you, we cannot.
Yeah.
Because none of the other people have all those obligations and time restraints.
Everybody's got some, I think.
Yeah.
But we're talking specifically about living faith. Like
Yeah.
if you're doing a job as faith, you know, when your job is faith, there's obligations to make it a job. I mean, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Requirements to make it a job.
Sure.
When you're not, there are no requirements. You just do things.
That's good. Well, thank you for this. This was really, really fun. We're about out of time. Was there anything that we didn't talk about that any of y'all thought, hey, we should make sure we touch on that point before we do? No? There's some good resources here. So everyone should watch About Time and not Time Traveler's Wife, right? I mean,
Yeah.
That's
I
good.
mean, it was okay, but no comparison.
No, yeah, About Time's a lovely movie. It really is.
I think I've seen it.
Yeah. It's very, very sweet. Find the book Margins. It's pretty old. There's probably a bunch of notes written in the margins. So that'll be interesting from that standpoint. And be present. Take some time every day that you can. That's good stuff. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. Thanks for spending part of your last school day with us. I know you get out of here and
Get my shoes off.
get your shoes off. That'll be perfect. Mike and Gid, as always, thanks for joining. I really appreciate that. And sharing a little bit of your other life. It's been fun to hear.
Thanks.
Thanks everyone for watching and listening, and we can't wait to have you join us for our next one after this. It may be a week or two. It is summer, so these may happen a little more sporadically for the next couple of weeks, but we will be back, and we can't wait to see you when it happens. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.